a moment in this film where I just completely thought I was blown away, and I'm sure you've heard about it again and again. It's this phone call scene. It is a scene that I don't know how you prepare for. I know as a person, when you're sometimes stressed or busy or whatever, you sort of hold it all together, and then the minute you get that relief, it just sort of pours out. Did you do anything special to sort of prepare for that moment, or how did you get there?
I don't. It was a scene where I knew exactly where the director wanted me to be. It was very clear that this was the moment where Henry allows himself to collapse, to cry, and to experience the full sort of horror of what's happened in an emotional way like that. Up until that point, he's sort of kept a cap on it, and it was important that we did that. And I felt, for instance, when we shot the scene where I send my two little boys off in the back of the pickup truck, that my instincts were to tell me to cry then. And Juan Antonio Bayona kept coming in and saying, "Look, you've got to don't cry here. Keep a cap on it, because that's going to come in the bus station, and it'll be more effective then." And also, it was the true experience that Henry actually had. He somehow was entirely focused on what he had to do, which was to find Maria and to find Lucas. And he knew that his two little boys were safe and unharmed, and he knew he would find them, and he sent them off. And it was only when he heard his father-in-law's voice back in England, who he hoped that he would have had news from Maria and Lucas. And when he heard his father-in-law saying he hadn't heard anything, I think he expected the worst at that point. And maybe for the first time imagined the notion that they may be dead. And so he falls apart. But to play that, I don't know, you know what's required of you, and you just sort of get there. I don't know how to describe it, how you do get there, but you do. It's very important, A, that we're both parents, I think, and B, that we like each other, we know each other, we've worked together before. Funnily enough, on another film where we didn't have many scenes together, but we keep saying we must find a film where we can actually play some scenes throughout the whole film. But that's really helpful, and in all those early scenes setting up the family, which are the majority of our scenes together, really, there's a lot of improvising with the kids. The nature of the Christmas morning scene, we were given a video camera, and we put the little boys in the bedroom set, and we said that they had to pretend to go to sleep, and 20 minutes later we went in and woke them up, and then for half an hour, we improvised this Christmas morning. And I think it was just easy to do that because I'm comfortable in Naomi's company, and hopefully she in mine. And the three boys were so brilliant and in the moment and real, that it was easy to create that family. It's really funny because I feel like, thinking about it today, that I don't remember being very specific on the phone with Henry, or even when I met him, about anything to do with this story here. I think maybe I felt some embarrassment about the fact that I was an actor playing in a movie, and he is a man who lived this experience, and somehow to sort of ask him about it or draw from him about it, which I'm sure he wanted to do or would have been happy to do, caused me some kind of, I was sort of blocked against it or something. So I don't know that I ever really, although I really liked him and I was happy to be in his company and meet him, and I never sat down with him and said, okay, what did it feel like this moment? What did that feel like? I felt maybe that I knew it was all on the page. So many details were gathered by the writer and by the director, and I don't know why that is. I'm questioning myself about it all day today, actually. Maria was a massive resource for Naomi, and she was writing to Naomi all throughout the experience of making the film. And whenever we were on a new set or she knew that they would move to a different location, she would write to Naomi, sometimes very poetically, sometimes very straightforwardly, about her recollections of that moment, of that experience that she'd had then. So she was a massive help to Naomi, and we got to know her quite well because she was around a lot more than the rest of the family. They all came out to Thailand, and it was their first time to be back in Thailand since the tsunami. It was a big emotional journey for them to make, and a very emotional for them to be there, I think, and they wouldn't come unless they were able to all be there together, which is what they did. But when they left, Maria stayed on. It seemed to be important for her to stay longer. I feel like she needed more closure, maybe than the others, in that she'd been so horribly injured there, and it affected her immediate future thereafter. Was overwhelmed by her injuries in the tsunami, and she, spent 6 months in hospital, 4 to 6 months in hospital, had many operations and infections, and her struggle for life didn't end in Thailand. It continued into her recuperation in Singapore. So maybe for her it took longer, and you could see that it was very moving for her. It was coming off her in waves, really, that you could sense the emotion in her in many of the scenes that we were recreating, that she'd lived through, and it was very important that she was around, I think, for a lot of us.